When we're talking about best practice in Google Classroom, there's a couple things to keep in mind. One is organization. Let's look at my notes over here. One is organization. One is the amount of notifications you are sending out to students. And the final one that we'll talk about is common naming conventions. So you can look at this example Google Classroom that I have right here and notice that everything is just kind of lumped into one topic. That's not super great. This could absolutely be broken up into a couple of different topics here. There's some things that, like if you see this icon, these are just materials, things that I want kids to see or people to see on a consistent basis, but don't necessarily need to be interacted with in the moment. So if I want these things to be an ongoing long-term resource, best practice is to create a classroom materials topic. You can title this whatever the heck you want, but really the idea is that you have one topic that sits there at the top of your Google Classroom that kids can go to, and there's always a few things in there. So I call this classroom materials, I recommend having your synchronous video expectations sitting there. That's obviously specific to distance learning. An FAQ, which if you want more information about that, we can talk about that, but this is a place for kids to go and get answers and crowdsource some information. If you're holding office hours, a posted schedule for that. Your school schedule. If students are coming in campus, they've got to do some sign-up stuff, so that can be there as well. Again, specific to distance learning. Ways that you would like students to contact you. And then feedback. This is the big one. A spot for students to be giving you feedback, and if they need to tell you something privately, but not anonymously, that's a good thing to go there. There are other things you can definitely put in there. That's a conversation that you could have with your school. The other thing, one more thing that the next thing, there we go, that's what I'm going for. The next thing that is best practice are common naming conventions. So notice here, you don't really know what any of these things are about. This is about Google Classroom best practice. Stream notifications, like I don't even really know what that means. Actually, we are going to talk about that here in just a second, but setting up stream notifications, like, are these required? Am I supposed to interact with these? Am I, so putting in, optional or required, and what exactly is the topic that you're covering. It doesn't really matter how you name those things as long as you are consistent and you teach students that schedule or that naming convention. The last thing that I wanted to talk about, so let's see here with the stream notifications. Boom, there we go. So here in the settings of your Google Classroom, if you scroll down, you have the option to control the classwork that shows up on the stream. Notice that every time I post something in Google Classroom, it sets up an announcement for students. This has a tendency to be pretty confusing because if you want to put anything else in here, then this is all just going to get pushed down here to the bottom. On a side note, I would not recommend putting anything of super long-term importance in the stream because it's just going to get shoved down with everything you do. So put short-term announcements in the stream and nothing else. So these can be confusing. What I recommend is you come in here to the settings, you come over to classwork on the stream, and you hide those notifications.